what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, presented as always by our friends at Pure Options Crafted Cannabis. If you are sick of this 4-degree wind chill weather, you're trying to get through January, you're just excited about the Lions, whatever your emotion, Pure Options is here for you. Go to pureoptions.com, some fantastic January deals. Check out their location information. There's one I guarantee that's near you. You can join their Pure Perks loyalty program. Fantastic deals there. And it's basically tailoring your Pure Options experience just for you. That's where I find out about everything. Again, pureoptions.com. And our Monday afternoon show, brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. This is flannel season. Look like you belong here. Look like you were built for this. It's cold as dirt. It's awful. But Muskox can make it so much better. On Saturday night, I'm at Wrigley Field, just a man in his muskox watching hockey. Everybody else is cold. I felt all of Fred Human. I felt fantastic. I looked good. I was bundled. I was layered. But the muskox was sort of the linchpin for the whole thing. Again, go muskox.com, and Couch and the Rube listeners can get $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code FIXITINPOST, all one word, FIXITINPOST at gomuskox.com. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Big night.
Fuego, gracias, señor. Vamos, Lions.
Vámonos, va a haber 1, 2, 3.
Vamos, Lions.
Come here, Minnesota. What did we tell you? 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 Come here and take it.
Let's go! What's up, buddy?
I was thinking about you
God
last
damn,
night.
you're beautiful today. What a day to be alive. By the way, I've enjoyed your columns. The past couple columns have been phenomenal. How good are you looking today? I love your flannel.
Yeah.
Hat looks great. I've never looked forward to a hot take show in my fucking life. This is great. I feel bad, though. I was watching Tony Dombrowski is back, by the way. Roast Umber videos are back. I watched his video. I was depressed last night. I'm like, I can't top that on this show today, so I figured I'd play some of it. But yeah. Hey, man. What a day to be alive.
It was unexpected. So I'll be honest. I was worried about.
You didn't see the Vikings not scoring a touchdown yesterday?
Correct.
How dare you?
Correct. And this is, again, why when you get to the Super Bowl, you always take the bet. Neither team scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and it often pays a lot of money. Just in case it happens, it's peace of mind.
Of course that you would figure you finagle one of your your classic hot takes in here in this glorious day of NFC North champs back-to-back. 15. I had to seriously, last night, before I went to bed, I had to just stare at the record, 15-2. I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd be, thank God, like the athletes do. Thank the glory be almighty up above for keeping me alive to see 15-2 today. It's absolutely beautiful. Aaron Glenn, MVP. I hope Aaron Glenn got a game ball yesterday.
I don't think he did.
That's crazy.
But it was incredible. And it was my favorite moment of the broadcast is when he was sitting on the bench while the Lions offense had the ball, and they cut to him. And he looked like a man who'd just done a lot of work and was smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? It was like
It's got to be exhausting having to deal with Justin Jefferson. Then you got injuries, and
it was one of the most surprising and promising and performances I've ever seen by a defense.
Sam Darnold is who we thought he was.
I don't know that he is.
Bullshit.
I'm telling you
that's
right now,
the real Sam Darnold.
I think the Vikings are still going to be really tough out in the playoffs. I think the Lions. We should probably get into the hot takes.
Yeah, why not?
I'll start
hot. It's all about celebrating.
Yeah. I'll start here with the Lions. To me, it was promising because as a one-off, I don't know if they can repeat that every week in every matchup, and they're going to give up some yards. That's partly who they are. But
they did it against Buffalo.
But as a one-off, like you get to a Super Bowl, which they now have a much better chance to do because they're going to be home after a bye for 2 straight weeks.
It's going to be so great watching the playoffs, and I have to worry. Just sit back and let the teams play, and we watch for a week. Oh, my God.
If you get to a one-off, though, I have faith that they can replicate something that is the best possible approach to attack an offense based on that. You have to give them credit for that. I mean, it's just hard not to look at that and say, boy, this coaching staff, with whatever personnel they have, and you lose another corner, we'll see what happens there. But like, I think they got a shot in a one-off.
X-rays are negative so far.
Yeah, that's good.
Stop you guys with your bringing down the injuries. Come on.
No, look,
Big night. Señor. Vamos, Lions. Vamos, Lions.
I lost money on the game, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, so did I.
I mean, I had all sorts of teasers with the Vikings just to sort of brace myself. I didn't take the Vikings to win anywhere, but I had lots of Vikings.
Of course you did.
Plus 8.5. Vikings plus 16.
And how did that taste?
Great. I'll take it. I'll take it. This is why you do it. You'd rather have the Lions win. I just wanted something a little there for me, a nice little nest egg if things had gone haywire, because I didn't trust it. And that's the thing. I haven't trusted the Lions all year. I haven't trusted the Lions really in the entire Dan Campbell era. I struggle to trust
even against the Jags.
I struggle to trust the Lions, and I don't blame myself. I blame
15-2.
I blame all the years that I watched the Lions and what I've dealt with.
So now that you see 15-2, you trust us in the playoffs now, or are you still,
this is
you and Harry going to get on this fucking show and be like, I don't know if it's a tough number.
This is as close as I've ever been to trusting the Lions. I think I still
when our defense plays like that, yeah.
I think I still have to see them in a Super Bowl to believe it.
I love all of these talking heads though. Sit there doubted us and I understand Jared Goff MVP. I owe you $20. It's not going to work out because of the game last night. I figured if he would have had a 300-yard, 4 touchdown game, he might have jumped into the MVP discussion. But we get no respect in that. Dan Campbell better win Coach of the Year. Brad Holmes obviously Executive of the Year. Just a great time to be alive. Absolutely great time to be alive.
No, it was.
Can I have my hot take real quick?
No. Yes. Martha
and Sheila Hampford. I will announce on this podcast, I will forgive you if you make a significant offer to both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson for the Ford family, for all the years in the past of having to deal for the winless season and the endless Matt Millen and the Martin Mayhew MFers. If you sit there and you offer, like, I can understand those guys want to go be a head coach somewhere. You want to have your own outfit. I totally understand that. But if you at least offer to, I can't say match that because you don't want to make it more than Dan Campbell, right? But you know what I'm saying. If you could make them a qualifying offer that's actually respectful without letting them just going like, well, take that money.
We always talk about.
I'll forgive them forever.
We talk about in baseball, there's no salary cap, right? There's no excuse. With the coaches, this is where you can get it done.
No cap.
No cap.
You can at least make an offer, right?
Does Ben Johnson leave? Does Aaron Glenn leave?
I think Aaron Glenn leaves.
Unless
Unless something catastrophic happens in the playoffs where the D looks absolutely terrible, I see Aaron Glenn. I don't know. Ben Johnson seems like a different guy, and if you pay him $5.5, $6 million or something like that,
yeah, there's no.
Why would you leave a place that loves you? You got
And if you're in this window right now, right, that's so perfect, and I don't believe this is the end of it, too. Like, I think there's, you start to look at, like, defensively, there's obviously not just the injuries, but this defense has been pretty recently put together, right? There's room to grow there. There's more draft picks, all that stuff.
Sure. But like I said, these guys want to sit there and they want to go have their own outfit, be the head coach. And
$25 million. $25 million.
$25 million for what?
For Ben Johnson, yeah.
A year?
A year.
Jesus Christ.
You just make them say no. You make the money so absurd.
All right. The NFL would have something to say about that, right?
Why would
you can't
they?
just have
Why
that
would
happening?
Why would
$50, $25 million.
And all of us as fans, we you'd have to decide, like I have a Jeep outside. You got to take that shit back and get a Ford. Like,
well, make it more personal. There's animals, right? Like a dog involved. If you take your dog in, and they're like, it's gonna cost $15,000 to keep your dog.
I'm just saying,
the dog's like 13 years old. You got to make a decision. I mean, $25 million. I love Ben Johnson, but shit.
If you want Ben Johnson,
I want them both. $25 million a year for both of them. We keep Glenn. How about for the whole coaching instead of the three guys?
Whatever.
Campbell, Ben Johnson.
I totally agree.
Glenn.
I totally agree. And I think they will. You make an effort. And if those guys, if it's their time, it's their time.
You know what? And I keep hearing, I just want people to stop talking about the window closing. I know you're a big window closing guy. I heard Dan Patrick and the Bills, their window was closed. Like, I just think that if you have a structure and you can keep the mentality and guys respecting your coaching staff and the organization, that you can. Yes, well, we have bumps in the road, but I feel like if you play through injuries like this, as long as you don't have catastrophic ones to your main guys, that you can kind of make anything happen. And that's like we say with the Patriot way, how they did it for so many years. Next guy up, guys step in, buying into the whole thing. So I don't think that this has to be a microscopic, like, we got to get 5-year thing. I want a Super Bowl bad. Then after that, we can do whatever the fuck we want. But just give me the 15-2 sounds great right now. I was looking at NFC North back-to-back championship shirts. I just don't want one right now because obviously the eyes on the prize, the bye week, the Super Bowl, the whole thing. So, but it's nice to soak in on a Monday, waking up feeling great 15-2.
There's a lot of reasons not to want an NFC North championship shirt. Number one,
I got one last year.
Well, that's awesome. The stuff because years from now, you don't know they went 15-2. That's the stuff they were doing in 1993 with Lomas Brown.
But
right?
I will look at that shirt and I will say, okay, you know what? That was some great times. I went to a bunch of games this year. You know what I mean? Like, I'll look at it. You know.
To the window point. You're right. You can absolutely, when you look at Buffalo, this was supposed to be a down year. Now, they do have Josh Allen, and I think he is a level up from Goff. But Goff's really good. What I would like to see for the Lions, it's not that I think their window will close. I just think that every team has this maximum, this time where that just based on the contracts, you have a window where everything can be perfect. I would like them to have a year, and this year wasn't it because of the injuries. I would like them to have a year in this window before everything gets really expensive, and you do have to make some hard choices, even if you're still in your window with hard choices, where they get a chance to do it with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson, with more health on deep, with just a little better injury luck, while they still have.
And we talk about $25 million. How about Brad Holmes? I'll pay him $25 million a year, not against the cap, right? For you to not go anywhere? Can we do a lifetime contract as of right now? I don't know. I mean, the guy's on fire. He can't miss. Should we wait for another draft to see what Brad Holmes can do? I think we can trust him now. Give him 20. Everybody gets 25 mil, right, Ford family? You want us Lions fans to forgive and forget everything?
And the thing is, how sweet is Wild Card Weekend when there's no pressure?
I just said that. It's going to be great sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
I just thought about it today. I'm like looking at the slate of games. I'm getting my gambling stuff already and going like, this is fantastic. I can sit there and know that the guys for the Lions are sitting there resting up. It's fantastic. First number 1 seed. I know the numbers are going to be depressing for everything coming out now, but the first number 1 seed since the number 1 seed was fucking invented, right? How can this not be a great Monday
for the Lions?
I got no other take. Let's just go to everybody's takes. Fuck it.
All right. Well,
what's going on? Michigan State played.
Yeah.
Cohen Carr, I loved him shooting free throws. He was hitting free throws. I think the state can be unbelievable. Let's get to the questions. What do you got?
I'll give you an MSU take here. So Michigan State beats Ohio State 69-62, right? And road game against a team that's probably a tournament team. But one of the things,
my team.
And I think this team has room to grow. And I wrote about how I think that's one of the things that is the most compelling about them is there are a number of guys, like you watch a Cohen Carr, you watch Jace Richardson had a down game, but you think about the ceiling maybe for him within the year. There's just a number of guys on the team, Xavier Booker, obviously, who are still growing into whatever they're going to be, and that gives you the potential to be more. Now, the thing, though, that's jumped out at me in this game, and it's jumped out at me for a while, and we've talked about this a little bit, point guard play is important. And I get that. And I think you would rather have Jeremy Fears as a sophomore running your team, certainly with this roster, than you would A.J. Hoggard. But I think the change at center and the development and the additions in the interior and the addition by subtraction has been bigger, more significant, more important as a difference. And I think it ought to be a lesson for Michigan State going forward with the type of kid they recruit, the type of skill set you want in your big guys. You want big guys who see the game like guards. And even if they have to develop for a year or two, and I think we're being reminded right now that development is okay and it takes some guys a little bit of time. Like, even if they've got to develop for a year or two, you want that to be the skill set that's innate in them, right? You want them to have good hands, see the floor, because from there you can – look, Jackson Kohler was a guy who was an offensive force. They called him Baby Jokic, is a prospect, right? Because that's the type of style he played. And yet he's making his name as a rebounder as much as anything. That can be a little more taught. That can be something that becomes a mindset. You cannot teach good hands. If you have shitty hands, you will have shitty hands for the rest of your life. Probably shouldn't have a baby because then you're not going to be able to hold your own child without dropping them. You shouldn't. If you have shitty hands, that should be a red flag and something you stay away from. If you don't see the game, if you're so raw, you haven't played enough of it. And I'm not even going to say the guy's name who left because I don't want to just shit on him. But when you had Mady Sissoko, I just said his name, and then your backup was Cooper, who has some of those limitations. Cooper's limitations don't hurt you in his limited role when all the other guys have those skills. They're able not to be as frustrating. He's able to do what he does well, which is still defend. But what Zapala has given them, because of the way he sees the floor, and what Kohler is obviously, and the two of them working in tandem, and then Booker is a guy who's a skilled big, and then when they go small, it's who's Cohen Carr's developing into. I mean, that to me is why they are so different. Because Jeremy Fears, again, more consistent, good floor general. I think you want him over A.J. Hoggard. But A.J. Hoggard on his good days was really good. What makes this team different is who they are inside. The fact that the guards then trust that the big guys see it like they do. I mean, the most telling difference was a play where Jeremy Fears calls for a screen. Kohler runs up like he's going to go for a screen, stops at the free throw line. He dishes to Kohler, who then flips it down to Zapala for a layup. They could not run that play in a million years last year. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Because
with
of
this
who?
team. Mady Sissoko.
Oh, jeez. We're supposed to say his name.
I'm sorry. But I'm just, it's not Sissoko's fault. But he was, when you're looking at guys, body type, size, hands, basketball acumen, he didn't have those things. And I know he was a 4-star by some people, but let's also remember that these services and some of these recruiting evaluations, like they thought Jace Richardson was just a guy. They thought Xavier Booker was God coming out of high school. Like, some of these guys need time. This part of the reason last year's team struggled was not just A.J. Hoggard. It was the young guys weren't ready. They needed a year to develop, and that's okay. But I think the biggest thing, the biggest difference, and it's standing out more and more and more, is who they are on the inside. And I don't mean their souls and their hearts and their goodness. I mean who they are is in the paint with Zapala, with Kohler, with Booker, with the role Carson Cooper then plays, which is lessened, and how that affects and permeates the rest of the roster. I think that's the biggest thing that jumps to me.
But I was honestly impressed by Cohen Carr and his free throw shooting, because I think that can, because that gets him on the court at the end when you don't have to worry about him throwing the ball to someone, to worry about him getting fouled. And I think that leads to more confidence in his jump shooting. So I was happy to see that. But my question to you is, Frankie Fiddler, like, well, we talked about it last week about keep shooting. But with him, I know a lot of people are like, well, bench him, his minutes are gone. But with him, he's a shooter, right? Like, what do you do with a guy like Frankie Fiddler to get him back into the mix and get him some confidence going? Because you can't just sit there and go, all right, to the bench with you. Right?
No, and I think he's got to keep shooting because I think that's in him. I mean, his numbers are there.
Into the basket or something. I mean,
that's the other thing. He is a guy who gets to the free throw line. That's been his greatest skill as a basketball player at the college level. And he has been, I think, still part of that focus of this team, which has been really good at getting the line. He's part of that. And he's not a great defender, but he's a guy who gets in the right spots. He's had some moments. He's going to be a role guy for them. I think that's very clear now. And I think because of his size in certain matchups, he'll be a more important role guy. But, yeah, I mean, he's also going to have to play better. Because the thing about this group is, yeah, it's deep. But it's deep. It's different deep than some other deep teams he's had. There's always been drop off. You're playing 10. You got a backup point guard. You can't play your point guard 40 minutes. So guys going to come and give you 10 minutes. But there's a drop off. There's a difference. This is a team where you get something different when they come in, but it's not necessarily a drop off. And so you can't have drop off guys. You also can't have that because you don't have Denzel Valentine going 19-7-7 every night, or Cassius Winston who just makes everybody around him better and is playing at that high a level offensively and that efficient that now, okay, whoever you put in around him is fine. Like, you've got to play at the level of the other main 10. And Carson Cooper at times and Fiddler are the two guys that, if you're going to whittle down minutes and you're going to get to 8 ever, and I don't think they need to. I think it's working right now, but I'm just saying that you got to keep up with the other 8. And everybody else, Booker is having his moments. And I think he had some really important plays. And he's starting to score on the drive a little bit. Things like that. And Cohen Carr, he needs, as a rebounder, to have more than flurries. Like, he had a moment in the first half where he was the most dominant physical specimen on the floor. And then but that was like all of his rebounds for the whole game. And so he's got to, be a little more consistent. But everybody they have brings something important and significant, or at least can. And they're not always dominant. They're not always individually matchup proof, as I would say. And so you see Zapala had a really good game. They started doubling him. He starts turning it over. That's okay. They got other guys to go to, and they take him out. And somebody else is effective and different. And so they got a lot of things going for them like that. But the big men to me, though, and the versatility there, the skill they have, the way they see the game, the fact you can throw them the ball, the fact they can pass, those are skill sets they need to make sure they have in big men going forward. And you can't, if you have that, you work to develop the rest of it. You have another hot take, or you just about?
Oh, man, I'm ready to go for these other hot takes. I don't care. Unless you want to talk about P.J. Fleck getting mayo dumped on him. It was fucking embarrassing.
I don't care about any of that. We're going to get into all this stuff with MSU basketball and more Lions and MSU hockey and everything through the listener hot takes. So
8 wins and you got mayo dumped on you.
Let's just dig into those.
Wearing your little weird outfit. All right, Eric Schultz up first. Expectation for this MSU basketball team is 17-3 entering February. Their ability to diversify their lineups based on matchups and who's hot on any given day will get them there.
This is sort of what I was speaking to a second ago. You're exactly right on that. That's the gift of this team. That's what this team has. And what also has been really good is a coaching staff that at times, I don't know if they always use their lineups the best a year ago. I think they've really, every once in a while they'll play somebody too long or they'll play a lineup. You still go, what is that? Like in the first half against Ohio State, they had a stretch there.
Don't coach my team.
That wasn't great. But they got out of it, and they didn't go back to it. And they're pretty good at recognizing and changing and figuring it out. And they seem to be in sync with this roster and this team and what's needed. And their January schedule is also easier than their February schedule. I think 17-3 is very realistic.
Dominic next. Number 1, Couch. Insinuating that I was bullying Tony D was way off base, and you owe me a public apology.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't aware saying someone was banging girls 2 at a time was insulting. I introduced you to Tony D, goddammit. If maybe Mebe sent that tweet, you'd put her in for a Peabody.
Iffy. If Fontu Malafonwu, we freaking love you, man.
Why would we make fun of that? 2, Graham would be calling for Haller's job if he went to Everett. Big red blood runs deep. 3, Lions winning by 22 points should be an automatic FOIA of the LSJ group chat. No complaints, so it just morphed into Solari sending videos of his twins doing karaoke Kids Bop. Yeah, bonus take. Couch, if you ever come at me like that again, I will start a political pod with Fred Human entitled Keynote Speaker. Watch your mouth, son. Bonus take. What in the fuck was at the end of the show regarding #GunshotGate? Is Couch being threatened by the mob? Who shot JR? Fuck that. Who shot Fears? It's very rare that I do drive home after doing the show and start laughing my ass off about what was said on the show. And it was definitely interesting when you did all of a sudden, you didn't want to talk about who shot Fears at all. So,
I mean, yeah.
Like you had some
inside
inside knowledge or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you drove a truck for the mob or something back in the day. So you have some mob ties. You actually killed a guy, so that, it's kind of mob-ish.
I don't think it's ever going to come to light.
Is that because somebody doesn't want somebody to know?
I think people aren't talking. That's all. Let's just leave it there.
You want me to move on, or you want to?
That's as comfortable as I am saying anything. That's all. That's all.
Right. Is that it? Okay.
It's not like somebody else on the team or anything. It's not. It's not anything like that. It's just. Yeah.
By the way, a Dominic Fred Human keynote speaker podcast that's political, I would listen.
100%. Yeah. I felt all of Fred Human.
All right, David Zandy next. Number 1, Dan Campbell is the NFL Coach of the Year. He just embarrassed the guy and his D coordinator who were supposed to win. He's just better, smarter, and more handsome. Bake Take, the Lions will be the most hated team soon, and Lions fans will love every second of it.
I don't know if the Lions get to that status. I mean,
that's tough. How many? We'd have to win a couple Super Bowls.
Yeah, and then become less likable. Like, obviously.
Oh, that's easy. I can do that.
You can.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Dan Campbell's a pretty likable guy. I think universally well-liked. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but you can still get sick and tired of some things if you're an opposing fan, right? Everything gets annoying to you at some point.
I think they're a long way from being a hated team. Like the Bills, for example. The Bills have been good for a while now. They haven't won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they went to like 9 in a row.
But nobody hates the Bills. Like,
yeah, I do. They beat us, so
fine. Right, well, okay.
You hate Josh Allen. What are you talking about? You said he was overrated and he should be traded like 2 years ago.
I don't hate Josh Allen.
You did it. I was. So you were a hater.
I was slow on the take. I was definitely a hater.
So you hated Josh Allen. So you can see how someone would hate. I mean, Josh Allen seems like a nice guy.
Do you understand the difference between a hater and hating somebody?
No.
There's a big difference.
Mansplain it to me.
Okay.
What's the difference?
So being a hater is somebody who's like critical or slow to, respect somebody's abilities.
Mm. So Matt
hating somebody is like, deporting them for being of a different race.
Don't bring politics in here.
I didn't.
God damn it.
I didn't.
No, I'm just kidding. Suburban man of leisure. That Matt Gates. Well, speaking of that, Matt Gates ass looking bum O'Connell got in his feelings like Ryan Day did against Michigan. You're going to lose to a mule measuring contest to Dan Campbell every time. Take the points. That was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's not who you are, like, what was weird about it is I thought, given the way the game was unfolding and the way the defenses were playing pretty well, including the Vikings defense, I would have taken the points there. Just because the Lions weren't running up and down the field on you like.
But he got caught up in the moment.
He did,
and he got caught up in the if we don't make it, then they're going to be at the 3-yard line.
I did get a little nervous in the second half that Dan Campbell. I know they tried to, and they successfully drew Minnesota offsides. Mm-hmm. I thought for a minute he was actually going to go for that. I was like, what?
But why not? To be honest, the fourth down plays yesterday that didn't work were Jared Goff, a hand got up and hit the ball. That was a great play to J-Mo on 4th and inches. I know that people were pissed off at it. You want a quarterback sneak. But I swear to God, that play was going to work. It was going to. J-Mo was wide open. I don't get mad at any scores.
Go up 3 scores.
You cannot get mad anymore. It puts teams. You have other teams going for it on 4th down. You have college teams. You're watching college teams that are going for it more on 4th down. They're changing the way people are playing football. And it's not the right, like you said, you can't all of a sudden, if you're Minnesota, if you're not that team that goes for it on 4th down, you can't just all of a sudden one game decide that you're going to do that. That's our mentality. That's what I love. Kurt Wisniewski, the Detroit Lions winning the NFC gives me hope for Spartan football. Suffering does come to an end eventually.
Well, yeah, I mean, Michigan State football had a run like this well before the Lions had theirs.
By the way, we haven't won a Super Bowl yet. This is great. We're excited. This is fantastic. Back-to-back NFC North champions, 15 wins. But I'm just saying, this isn't like, we can just all relax now. No. I got to win a Super Bowl.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I'm not trying to preach doom and gloom here or anything like that.
No, here we go.
No, but I was thinking about this. Like, the Lions have now reached this phase. When you're drinking that, it always sounds like there's a fire roasting in the background. No, it's not a bad. It sounds.
I will shut the mic off. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't mind it. It sounds like there's a furnace in the background. A fire, like, or not a fire.
Sounds
fire
terrible. I'll stop doing it.
Anyway, but if the Lions were to lose in the second round, does Fox and CBS even televise the rest of the playoffs in the Super Bowl? Like, I'm not sure you'd get a rating in this state that was better than like the Division III national championship game. Would you watch any more of the NFL playoffs if the Lions were to lose?
Jim Jones next. I was reading your tweet about show takes as you were going live now, and just thought about how much of a mess Jason would be right now. I'm two for reference. I am two for reference. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apparently Jim Jones was high as well as I was last night.
Pure options flowing.
Oh, it was flowing.
Yeah,
I'm feeling good.
I'm telling you, pure options should come up with the Lions deal, because I just feel like these next. But that's one of the best. You talk. Sorry, I suck at this job.
You know what? If you would have just smoothed those thoughts out, I felt something good was coming. This all came together real quick. It's all right.
Sorry, I saw my mom this morning. We were took down her lights out in the front porch for Christmas. And
so you're blaming your mom?
Once I see her for the rest of the day, like the hereditary inability to tell a story or a decent sentence comes out. So I saw her earlier today than usual, and so I'm off for the rest of the day. That's not.
That's so awesome to blame your mom.
That's not on me. That's completely on.
As soon as I see you, can't tell the story.
It's not on me. But
she doesn't listen to the I don't know why she doesn't listen to the podcast.
You brought it up. I brought up the idea of this weekend people being able to just sit back with relax in a muskox flannel, have their pure options.
I'm telling you though,
football.
it works during the game though.
Yeah,
pure options helps you kind of chill out, kind of not as tense and on edge, kind of smooth things out.
How many MGs do you do of pure options?
Well, see, I smoke joints, so it's hard. And people ask me that, and I usually know because if I take an edible or something like that. But most part, if I'm at home, I'm going. I got the door cracked. I've got a joint going. So it's like I probably smoked about 7 1-gram joints yesterday.
Okay.
So it's a lot for me. I usually don't.
No, well, it was a big game.
A lot of weed.
Big game. The pure options is here for the big games.
It helped.
Yeah.
Slept great. Pat Caverly, if the seeds hold, I can't decide if I'd rather see the Lions face the Vikings or the Rams. Of course, I'd rather see Green Bay beat Philly. Not likely.
What do you want? Like, do you have a preference at all on who they play on their path?
I got to say, if we have the Vikings offense figured out, bring them on again. But, the Rams with Stafford coming in, I don't know if I'd rather see Sam Darnold than I'd rather see Matt Stafford with Cooper Kupp and Puka.
Agreed.
I have to say. I know the Rams D isn't playing that great, but I don't know.
And it's also
I guess I would say give me Sam Darnold again.
Yeah, and I think both are well-coached teams. But McVay's won a Super Bowl. You don't want him to dial it up one.
McVay, well, it's more Stafford. And then Kelly Stafford's going to bring her kids again, and then they're going to get booed, and she's going to wonder why. So, I just rather
and it could be
stay in L.A.
Well, let's be clear. They play the lowest remaining seed. So if there's an upset, it could be anybody, right, who's a lower seed than the 4-5.
Aha.
So they could play the Packers, or they could play the.
So the Packers would have to beat Philly.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And they play the Packers. So it depends who you want and how that looks.
Green Bay can up. Is Jordan Love going to be all right? So yeah, I'd rather out of all of that, I guess I would rather see Green Bay come back. I don't know though, Jordan.
Who's the?
I'd rather see Sam Darnold.
Seed? The 6 seed's not the Commanders.
Come here, Minnesota. What did we tell you?
Hold on, who is the 6 seed in the playoffs? Hold on.
What did we tell you? What did we tell you? Come here and take it.
Yeah, the 6 seed's Commanders. So that Commanders,
he went crazy with that bow. It was a little too long. Tony T. What now?
The Commanders wouldn't be bad either if they beat the Bucks. That would be the bad thing.
Yeah. Pat Caverly, no, Matt C. Number 1, MSU basketball is winning the Big Ten and making a Final Four. They are matchup proof outside of Kansas and Auburn. See you in San Antonio, Couch. 2, that was the singular best defensive performance I've seen since 2015 MSU at Ohio State, and the Lions were missing a ton of starters. Aaron Glenn is a god. The Vikings look like they didn't prepare or believe the Lions would go man all game. And bonus, I'm so happy the Lions dominated, forcing the MSU media got to sit in a circle and eat their sad pizza.
People think maybe I'm just not on Twitter enough. What is the MSU media doing?
Well,
Lions games?
If you just used your phone and got on Twitter, I don't know. I have one tweet from Charbonneau that said something about that he believes in injuries or something, and then people took it. I honestly don't see any of that shit either, so I don't know.
Matt, I have to say this is the most positive. Part of the reason that you're so high up here is I was stunned by the positivity from Matt C. I thought that Matt C. Matt
C's not all doom and gloom.
No, this is
have a good time.
This Matt C discovered pure options is what happened. That's what it sounds like.
And
right
the Lions
here.
are 15-2. Right?
Yeah, I don't matchup proof outside of Kansas and Auburn.
What about Tennessee? I watched a little bit of them. Were they scary?
Yeah, I haven't seen enough out there.
When football's over is when I get into college hoops, like full time,
which is like 1 week before March these days. But yeah.
Well, I get into it. Mr. Benjen, the Lions, that Lions defensive effort was the most inspired football performance I remember seeing. Fight me on that.
You can become a prisoner of the moment, but it was such a big game. Like, I would argue this was the second biggest game of my adult life for the Lions. right? So last year's 49ers game, I would say number one. I'd say this maybe number two would be the Rams game. They won that playoff.
The Rams
last year.
was up there because I was at it, but yeah,
but it was also the first. Yeah.
I mean, we lost the NFC Championship, so that wasn't great. I mean, being in it and all the anticipation towards that was great.
But this is top 3 in terms of games they've been in, probably, because so much was
because we needed the bye week with all of the injuries and people were doubting us and not talking about it. So
and so to do it on this stage, that was big, and to remind people that, because there was people were rightly concerned that the Lions defense just couldn't stop anybody. That they were,
and rightfully so. They looked so out of place, and you can understand when Aaron Glenn's had to patchwork it. For the past month or so, I can understand that the D is not great, but you don't see them holding Minnesota to 3 field goals yesterday either. It's just fucking insane. And next. Alex Anzalone is the most underrated defensive player in the NFL. Jack Campbell is going to be a top linebacker in the league for a long time, like Bobby Wagner level.
I don't think Campbell's ever going to quite get there.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I don't.
Is that baked or? I mean, I would love for Jack Campbell to turn into a Bobby Wagner level. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's got time. He's young.
Andrew, it's not like you get better after 30 in the NFL, though. I mean, it's not that young. What, year 3?
Who, Jack Campbell?
Yeah.
No.
Year 2?
No.
Year 6?
What year is this? What year? 2024, 25, right?
Yeah.
When was he drafted?
2022, right? 2023?
What?
Hold on.
Ridiculous.
He's already 24. I mean, he's practically an old man.
Retire.
Yeah, he's 24 years old, and he was drafted in 2022. Yeah, so he's the man.
Oh, man,
no,
retired.
2023. Sorry, 23 draft.
Oh, okay.
So this is
then he's good.
Second year, yeah. He's got some time.
It's like he's Joe Milton or something. Andrew Gauthier, number 1, Aaron Glenn is a genius. Would be shocked if he weren't a head coach next year. And 2, despite everything, this team has it. That will to win. Never been more confident about something in my entire life. And bonus, watching Dominic and Jeff Kohler virtually high-fiving on Twitter warms my heart. Doesn't hurt that Jackson can officially be renamed Windex. Graham, if you don't get that, you don't know ball.
Cleaning up the glass.
I was about to say, if you didn't know Windex.
I got it. Yeah, no, that was a nice love fest. The Dominic Jeff Kohler partnership, I respect and appreciate for sure.
G.E. Miller, if this Spartan basketball team can average 35% plus from 3 and less than 13 turnovers per game from here on out, it can win the league and be a Final Four team. Rebounding, defense, interior scoring depth, and chemistry are all there.
Yeah, they got a lot of things that it takes to win going, and that's what I think is most promising. And there are things you cannot make up for. And I think that, Eric Schultz was somebody who brought this up repeatedly over the last couple of years, that the rebounding was something they could not make up for, that was preventing them from being elite no matter what else they had. You could have a great day, a great performance, a single performance, a great team performance, a good matchup, and we saw moments of that. And we saw, and they could have gotten to a Final Four 2 years ago, despite it, because they got on that run, they started playing really well. But ultimately, the way they rebound and defend and the depth and chemistry and real depth, a lot of teams say they have depth, or they just play a lot of guys. They have real depth, and that's different. And that's like when you bring somebody new in, they're not just replacing somebody at a lower level. They're adding something different, and that's what they have.
MC Hammer Legos next. People saying Izzo was washed really have no idea how basketball works and how important a point guard is.
So, but I'm not agreeing with the Izzo wash crowd. Let's
You're not
start that here. But here would be the counter to that. That a year ago, they should have known that Mady Sissoko had limitations that they weren't going to be able to overcome.
Don't coach my team.
A year ago, they needed Zapala. They needed that player. And they didn't do it. And it cost them a year ago. And I agreed, the point guard thing is real. But if they make that move a year ago and they have a Zapala type a year ago, and then Fears doesn't get shot and plays the whole season, it would have been interesting. I still like this team better, but that would have been and some of that was Kohler's injury ahead of time. I think Kohler is at a place now. I'm not saying he would have gotten here sooner. He might have. What's interesting about Kohler is, and he'll tell you this, his injury last year and then struggling to find the offensive game he thought he was going to have and find a role on the team changed his mindset. It became, if I get rebounds, I am going to play a lot. That needs to be my thing. That's my ticket. And I think that change in mindset has helped him get where he is. So I'm not taking the injury was good, but I think there is a benefit in terms of his mindset and the player he's become.
Ryan Schultz, I would really like something cleared up. Was Izzo content to run it back with Marty? Did Marty decide to leave entirely on his own? How much credit does Tom actually deserve for the Zappala acquisition working out?
This is a really good question from Ryan. And, because I had heard at one point that they did want Sissoko back. But I do not think it was I don't know how intense the recruitment was. You know what I mean? Like, I think they knew.
Well, let me ask you. You start talking about the Izzo's watch people. Do you see where they would come from, though, if they could see Marty Sissoko is not
Correct.
the guy, and then Izzo keeps playing the guy, and then there's talk of him actually coming back again? It's like that's where maybe some of the Izzo's watch crowd got some of their venom from.
So this is not me saying this is 100% it, because it's a fair question that
is it 95%?
Need to ask at a more background level and get that intel for you. But from what my sense was this, that Sissoko, if he came back, was going to be in a greatly diminished role as he was at the end of last year. And so while he was not completely kicked to the curb, he was not going to be coming back. Like, they were not going to roll with him out there as the starting five this year. And that, they knew that. They understood that couldn't happen. Now, to what degree conversations were, I think they knew they needed to make a change. I think they knew they needed to bring somebody in who could give them more size and provide a little bit of a different element. I think Zappala's been even better than they thought, though. Because look at Zappala was good in limited time last year at Longwood, but he did not play that much at Utah State before that. And so I think he has surprised them.
Well, it should be a surprise. Name the two schools you just named. If anybody comes into a Big Ten program and plays well, right? Like right away. Well, it's pretty impressive. The Polish white guy from Longwood. It's like, oh, yeah, that is surprising.
Well, the thing about Zappala that's really helpful, and the reason he fits, is he doesn't come in wanting 28 minutes. He comes in wanting to be on a winning team, playing the Big Ten, wants to win, doesn't care if he's not in the game, if he's in the game, knows he's going to play 15 to 17 minutes a game, and that's a hard guy to find who's as good as him. Like, I talk about all this, you want to try and duplicate this year over year over year. Like a guy like Zappala is, there are lots of boxes he checks that are going to be hard to find in terms of ego, in terms of skill, in terms of fit and all that stuff. But that's what you want to look for, unless, if skill set wise, that's what you really want. And I think like Ballo at Indiana, guy who has okay hands, doesn't shoot free throws well, and costs $1.2 million. I don't know if that's a winning combination a lot of places.
Dark Mantonio next. I was listening to some late 2021 shows. Jesus,
I love that.
Really? Okay. Graham saying that the MSU basketball big man situation was in a good place with Sissoko and Bingham.
Nice.
Fans' takes on MSU football rising trajectory under Tucker. And Jason saying the Lions will suck forever. Dead inside, actually. A few years later, those takes proved to be way off.
First of all, I love the idea that somebody went back and listened to a 2021 show. Where people's heads were. Think about where people were at this point on Mel Tucker 3 years ago.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
And where they were on the Lions. And
dead inside.
Yeah, and MSU basketball was a harder one to read. And I only say that because Bingham was still at a stage where,
because you were so wrong, you have to make an excuse for it.
Yeah, but you also didn't know that Sissoko was just never going to get any better. And he didn't, really. He had that moment at the beginning of
Well, you can't teach how to catch a basketball at that point, at that stage of your basketball career, though. So that's when everybody was like, okay, you can't hang on to the ball.
Yeah, and Sissoko's size really hurt him. Sissoko's like 6'8". Sissoko works if he's 7 foot or 6'11". That was Sissoko's. Sissoko has a number of issues in terms of. I'm sorry,
7'4".
I feel bad that we just shit on Sissoko all day. But you know what?
You're just talking ball.
That's fair.
Wasn't good on the Windex.
I don't hate him. I'm just being a hater.
No one said you hated him.
Right.
Really. Bo McJunkins, I'm ready for Kurt Tang or Garrick Norman to get a shot rather than seeing Frankie Fiddler continue to miss shots that aren't even close. He'll right the ship, but this is a brutal stretch.
Well, they're different positions. Norman and Tang are smaller guys who would, usually take more guard minutes, especially Tang. I still think Fiddler, there are games where he's struggled, there's no question. But he's had some moments. You think of the North Carolina game. They don't win that game without him. And he played some really important minutes and made some defensive plays. It would help them tremendously if he could start hitting some threes and some outside shots, because at some point that will cost him a game, just because if you're in and you're in that role and you're the guy who's open at the perimeter and you're missing or not taking them, it hurts the team. I think they've figured out what Frankie Fiddler's role should be. I think they're at the right level with that. I think it was probably too big at the start, and they had to figure that out. I think all of us watching thought he might be able to do more on a consistent nightly basis. I think the role is correct, and the performance can be there within the role, but they do need it at some point.
T-Bone's dad next. Number one, while we must enjoy this MSU basketball season, this is also a 2-year team, to use a Grahamism. It just seems Jace doesn't have the height to jump early, and Booker needs to further develop his motor and game, a la Adrian Payne. 2, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, Jason should get a tattoo of Anzalone's post-surgical scar on his forearm. Him being back was obviously a huge factor and massively alleviates the defense's ceiling the rest of the way. Elevates.
Would you do, if they won a Super Bowl, would you do the scar tattoo for him?
How do you get a scar tat?
Well, it's a picture.
Can I get something else? Like a picture of the scar?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather get something else. I mean,
you'd rather have your arm cut open and have a real scar?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'd rather cut my arm open.
I'm sorry.
No, I was dumb.
We'll fix that in post. I've not done a fix. We may actually fix that in post. That was really dumb. What am I?
You sounded like a weird school shooter. Well, wouldn't you just rather just have it dug open, have a scar real?
Yeah, please. Fast forward. Don't listen to that.
It's okay. But no, I mean, like, it's just so weird to have a surgical scar. And people are like, well, so what happened to your arm? Like, oh, this is, Alex Anzalone's. I call him Anzalone, but he goes by Thor. This is his scar. Like, I got enough bad tattoos, so it wouldn't matter where you put it.
What's your worst tattoo?
The worst one?
I mean, I have one you regret?
No, I like them all because I was in a period of my life that was in turmoil. So I look back and go, man, I'm not that anymore. It's mostly because of the poor work. It's on my left shoulder. It's like the rising of the phoenix thing. It's like when I quit drinking one time way back before I quit for good, and it was like one of those. It was like one of the things you did. You're rising up from the ashes, blah blah blah. And it's just shitty work. I had it done in an apartment.
How many tattoos did you get on nights you were drunk?
Well, they don't let you get that shit faced. Okay. I mean, reputable. I had a couple tattoos done in an apartment, but the guy had an actual shop set up. Like, it was he had a 2-bedroom apartment, but one was dedicated. It was clean. Like, I had a chair and sterilized and all that shit. So I had a couple done that. But I mean, so I was drinking then. But like, for the most part, if you go to a shop, they don't want you shit faced, because that way you bleed out more when you get tattooed. So,
as you can tell,
but obviously I did.
No tattoos, no ink.
You should get one. Well, you were supposed to, but you backed out on it.
I don't know what I would get, though. I feel like the first one's a big one. We could take.
Well, would you have to get together with Elizabeth, and then you'd have to ask her, correct?
Right. What she'd be up? Yeah.
We should have that conversation on Couch in the Rube. Like, you've never had any idea for a tattoo, like in your life, in your 20s, your buddies, you guys never got together. You never had a friend get a tat and go, Graham, you should get one.
I mean, I'm sure in 2004, I was like, maybe I'll just put Big Shot Billups on my ass. I don't know. I don't know.
Like, no barbed wire tat?
No, that would hurt. And it goes, anything that goes underneath the.
Well, some guys got it where it didn't connect because you were kind of a chicken shit if you didn't get the inside of your bicep.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I missed the old barbed wire tat days because there's a lot of guys walking around.
You would have done that.
No. I got my initials done. Those barbed wire tattoos, but it was like girls were like Pam Anderson made the barbed wire tattoo popular. She got one. I got my initials. The initials were the thing when I was 18.
I remember a guy in high school getting one on his stomach and just thinking, how fat we're going to be in like 30 years? Like, what are you doing? That's going to look horrible. Yeah. I don't think it said that. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, but you know what? Some guys don't give a shit.
Yeah. Those are stories almost worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. If you are looking for a cozy spot for a date, for a drink after work, to escape the cold, Midtown Brewing Company. If you go to Midtown Brewing Company on Facebook too, you can find out what nights they have the trivia, often Tuesday night trivia. Just it's a great place, incredible menu, and the American Stout, which is my favorite beer, and this time of year especially, is at Midtown Brewing.
Does anyone in your family have a tattoo that you know of?
Like how direct?
I don't care. They can just be related. I'm just saying, I figured you're big into your heritage and bloke and all that. I figured you guys would get like a family crest or something, or
yeah.
I don't know.
Fuck the Irish or something. I don't know.
I love all your ideas.
They're bad. I don't know where this is coming from today. I apologize. We'll just fix the whole show in post.
Andrew Zuiza, number one, Zapala was a better get than Fiddler, and not just saying that because I'm Polish. He proves our big men coaching is legit. 2, MSU is back, but not elite. Sweet 16 expected. Elite 8 ceiling. I'll say it because you can't anymore. This is actually the 2-year group. And 3, Kirby Smart will soon become Mark Davis.
In terms of appearance?
Really?
Mm.
Kind of looks like Mark Davis now a little bit, yeah. About the terrible haircut.
Haircuts.
Mark Davis haircuts. Does no one want to tell him because he's a billionaire?
That's the thing. I don't know. Maybe nobody has actually told him. Is T-Bone's dad brought up, and Andrew, the 2-year group thing that I'm not allowed to say anymore. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, and so I'm trying not to say it.
Well, you've said it in past years when it wasn't.
Correct.
Now, actually, you could use it. It would make sense, but why would you do it?
Boy who cried wolf, can't use it. Now, I do think the one thing I've also learned, though, is you just never know when it's like matchups and the path and who else gets hurt, and you never know when an opportunity is going to strike. It's like the Lions in the NFC Championship last year. Like, it looks now they're the 1 seed, but you just never know when you're going to get back. That's what Dan Campbell said in the locker room, right? So this is a team, to me, to disagree with their ceiling a little bit, Elite 8 ceiling, that I think has the potential if certain guys continue to grow. And again, they may not be the best team in the country. Like, if they played, there are teams that they play Auburn 10 times right now, they're not winning most of those matchups. But that's not how it gets decided in college basketball, and that's not how it always happens. So I think, the 2-year group thing is a possibility if Chase Richardson's back, and if everybody who can come back does come back. But it also, a lot has to go right, and you could be a better team next year and have the bad injury luck or whatever it might be. There's a lot of good stuff about this team, and if they can get the right, I mean, I agree with you right now. When I look at them, I don't see them as a national championship type team. I just don't think they have that high ceiling individual player that you probably need to do it. But I think they've got it.
But it's trending.
Well, there's no matchup that they're going to get in right now where I don't think they can compete to the bitter end. And if you can do that, you can make a run. And I also think more so than like a year ago when they had a lot of guys who were finished products, what you have with a Cohen Carr, what you have even in Jeremy Fears as he's figuring stuff out bit by bit, what you have even in their veteran guys like Jaden Akins, who's become more and more comfortable in late in games, and I think has improved his play significantly. But Jace Richardson and Xavier Booker, like lots of guys who, what are those guys going to be in mid-February? I'm curious. And maybe this team has more of the ability to climb than some others at this stage.
Rich Searing, number one, Fiddler is the illegitimate son of Shane McGowan. If you don't know who that is, look up the Pogues, then tell me I'm wrong.
I can see it.
Jesus, that's kind of brutal, though. If you're being told you look... Dude, if I told you look like Shane McGowan...
I would put on a muskox. Because that's the thing. If anybody tells you...
As long as it's not the teeth. He had no teeth, right?
Yeah. If anybody tells you look like Shane McGowan, get yourself a muskox and you'll look like,
Before you look it up, get angry. Then look it up.
And then get a muskox. Go muskox.com.
Put it over your head.
They should have a promo for that. I look like Shane McGowan. I need help. Go muskox.com. Use the promo code FIXIT and post. Like this entire show. Fix it and post. Go muskox.com.
Hey, you look like Lester Holt. Next one, MSU football will be only slightly better than last year and go 6-6, making a low-tier bowl game.
That's depressing.
Yeah, it is pretty depressing.
Yeah.
Hey, Lions 15-2 though, so
yeah,
cheer you up. David Jackson, 10 straight wins collectively by MSU hockey, MSU basketball, the Red Wings, and Lions is the greatest 8-day stretch ever. Life at its best. Bonus take. At some point, you are what your stats say you are. Mr. Fiddler, 16.2%, and Mr. Kohler, 19%. From 2-point range, you're 49% and 53%, respectively. Stop shooting and missing three-pointers.
Sometimes you're not, though, because what they are for their careers, at least Fiddler is higher than that. And so he is more of a shooter. I think Kohler still has it in him, and I think the upside of having Kohler take and make threes eventually could be something that really changes this team, or at least makes them more and more dangerous. A.J. Granger did not show up at Michigan State as a three-point shooter. He started making, shorter jump shots, moved out to the line, and that was a big part of them winning a national championship, right? There are guys that you see it in a shot. He has it. And he's not taking so many that it's hurting the team. If he was coming down and launching, first of all, he'd be sitting on the bench. But
if you have an open look.
Yeah, if he's walking into trail threes and stuff, you want him taking those. And eventually I think they will go in at the volume he's shooting them in. And they need him on the court for his rebounding. I'm talking about Kohler here as well. I mean, mostly.
I can't imagine how tough you'd have to be mentally, though, if people are not passing you the ball because they don't want you to shoot, right? Like, how would you ever get confidence going, right? If you don't take at least open shots.
That's why I say one of the great underutilized way of defending the three-point shot is to run away from somebody.
Sure.
If you can't get out to them and you're just going to put an arm up and all that does is help improve their arc, run away from them. Disrespect, underutilized. You run away from somebody, you're like, dang, I got to think about this? That's no good.
C-Dubs 91, number 1, Frankie Fiddler is more valuable to this team than stats show. He will right the ship sooner than later. 2, NFL playoffs restructure idea. Division winners get one game at home in the wild card round, then reseed based on record for the divisional round.
It's not a bad idea, but, yeah. I mean, I get the frustration with the idea that a team that is 14-3 now is
but how often does this happen, though, where the possibility of a 14-win team can be a 5-seed wild card team?
Correct. It does.
I mean,
yeah. I'm okay with it. I mean, I understand. I mean, I think we're more sensitive to it now because this is an extreme with the Vikings, and then also you have a situation in college football where the seeding isn't ideal right now in the playoffs, so it makes you examine it a little more.
See Sakinga next. Number 1, as good as Hutchinson is, Anzalone may be as important or more for this Lions defense. And 2, as good as MSU hoops has looked, there's a world where Kohler, Booker, and Carr all find another level or two. If that happens in East Lansing, Izzo just might get that second natty, even if we have to wait a year. Tough needle to thread, but if everyone comes back next year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously if that happens, we've just seen a lot of those years where what was supposed to be the year didn't turn out to be the year lately. That said, unless guys lose their hunger, unless guys stop liking each other, and there's a chance that this is a really good group from a year from now. I think at a place like MSU, in the NIL world, it is easier and it's easier anywhere to keep guys than bring new guys in. You already have them there. They'll have the money to keep their roster. That I am pretty sure about, unless somebody's unhappy. So it really comes down to this type of finish Chase Richardson has and whether he is a first-round pick and what he and his family think. And Zapala most likely is gone, although there's a chance if you do the math on he gets the waiver and all that stuff, and they'll have to replace him. But it could be. But again, this year is people are bringing up here with some of the guys who can take their game up a level. You might be in the hunt this year, and I certainly think they're going to be in a hunt for a Big Ten title, at least in contention.
Suburban Spartan Dad next. Jaden Akins becoming an above-average finisher at the rim is huge for this MSU team. They don't have that Tyson Walker closer, but Akins can get a bucket. Could he be in for a Travis Trice senior year?
So one of the things,
that's the hope, right?
Akins will become more and more appreciated as they continue to win. Because what happens is if you are the leading scorer, and he's a pretty consistent, 13, 14, 15-point-a-game scorer, if you're that guy on a team that's contending for things, people appreciate it. People look to, and I also think that there is, he deserves some credit for, like, late in that game against Ohio State, at one moment they needed a bucket, he really went and got it. Like, he understands the role at times. It's not always going to be him because he's not somebody who is, again, as you talk about that Tyson Walker closer, he's not always going to have the ball in his hands. But there is not a fear in Jaden Akins about the moment. And I think he was too amped up for it, and that you go back to that Kansas game and just sort of this stage and his turn and all that stuff. He has settled nicely into who he is and how he fits into the team. And he's not an overly volume shooter to the point that it's taking shots away from other guys who need it. Like, this team fits each other pretty well, and Akins has actually turned out to be a pretty good leading man for this group based on what they have. Now, we'll see on the road, tough environments against good teams in the half court, what that looks like. But so far, so good.
Peasy next. Cade Cunningham is an all-NBA level player and doesn't even have an all-star caliber teammate. Special player. And bonus take, Alec Anzalone made a late MVP case by reviving the Lions D on Sunday.
Anzalone over
Did I
Josh
just
Allen.
call him Anal Zone?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he means like MVP of the league?
No, MVP of the Lions, I think.
Oh, okay.
The Cade Cunningham, we haven't talked a lot of Pistons, but they're about 500 right now, even though Jaden Ivey just got a pretty significant injury. About 500, and Cade Cunningham is a guy. And what's awesome about that is that...
Didn't Jaden Ivey break his leg?
Yeah, he's out for at least 6 weeks. Or I don't know.
That's it?
Well,
in the NBA, guys tweak their back, they're out for 6. Guy breaks his leg in half.
He hasn't got paid yet.
See you in 6.
But no, the good news for the Pistons is this. Cade Cunningham is certainly a guy you can pay and build around and win a championship with. He does need a running mate, whether Ivy becomes that. The challenge in the NBA anymore is you can't overpay good. You can only pay great because
the challenge is getting guys to play.
What I mean, though, is you have to have 2 great players, and that's all you can afford to pay. So if your next guy's good, you got to let him walk, and that's the hardest thing I think in the NBA. Yeah, it's a difficult spot. But Cade Cunningham, at least they have one, and they know they have one, and they have some other good pieces around him. They're going to be a 500 team.
Ebling compared Cade Cunningham to Magic Johnson. Did you hear that?
I didn't, but I mean there's some elements to his game, but
he passes the ball.
Yeah, he's a point guard.
Passes the ball. Yeah, he's
5 inches shorter, 4 inches shorter, 3 inches shorter. Maybe only
both have the Medal of Freedom now. Jebediah, same old Lions is truly dead when the in my lifetime as a broadcaster, I've never seen this happen moment. A 14-win team in the wild card doesn't happen to the Lions. Super Bowl bound.
That would have been the most Lions thing ever, and that is nice. I mean, yeah. That's the best thing about the Dan Campbell era to this point. Beyond, and if they win a Super Bowl, that will be the best thing, right? And he'll be a legend beyond anything else. Yeah. But is that just, he sort of just plowed through all the old shit. And that is, it just feels like with him at the helm, all that stuff's impossible to come touch them again. You know what I mean? Like, it just mindset-wise, he was the ideal coach at the ideal time. And not just, I mean, a guy who talks the big game. He turned out to be a really good coach who put together a good staff and all that stuff. But, like, it just feels like he shields the Lions from their past.
Well, it's because he says the right thing after every, like at these press conferences, he does all of that. And when he's speaking in public to just random people, he says the right thing. He knows what to do. And a lot of these, I mean, it's a tough thing to do to have everybody pulling at you and stuff like that. So love Dan Cable. Captain Sparty, people who are mad that MSU's best players aren't playing 35 minutes a game are so weird. We are winning games, creating experience depth, and keeping everyone fresh for March. Enough.
Who's mad that they're not playing there? Are there again? I've
some dude on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm staying off Twitter during games for the most part. But the
good job, man.
Yeah, no, it's just better.
What fun is that?
Well, it's just you get more done in life. I've found like one of the things that you want to maximize productivity.
Stop tweeting out the same takes over and over again on Twitter.
That's fair. No, I'm talking to myself here. Right? Yeah. No, this is a lesson I wish I learned a long time ago. I would have been a way better person by now and a way more productive person. But yeah. This team, I mean, first of all, they don't have a lot of guys who really earn 35. They don't have a Cassius Winston. They don't have a guy you need on the floor right now. There are times where you go, boy, they need rebound. They need Jackson Kohler out there. There are times where you're like, boy, they need Cohen Carr right now. But you don't ever feel that for a whole game. Like with
Isn't it funny how a narrative tries to start though? Like 30. Somebody told me that they wanted everybody to get 35 minutes a game. It's like
doesn't make sense.
Who said that? I don't know. Clown 1212 on Twitter. Like, oh, shit. That bastard again?
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo. Next. Herb Street getting into it with the Twitter trolls while he's paid to be a pro, despite his stupid-ass takes, is ridiculous. Any lessons learned, Graham? Baked. MSU basketball and Lions football going to help me keep my sanity during impending fatherhood.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
I love how future fathers always make it sound so fun. Oh, just trying to keep my sanity here. God. You don't have to have a kid, right?
Well, there are lots of joys to it, I think, as well.
I would hope so. I mean, what would be the reason to have a child? If you lose your sanity, money, fun, time, things you enjoy doing, love, and they can grow up to kill you. It's crazy. There's a possibility they could grow up to kill you. It's crazy.
What I mean, you're watching too much Dateline here.
Of course, it's all I watch. I watch sports and Dateline and true crime shit.
Okay.
But it's true. A lot of the kids that grow up, I mean, the Menendez bros, I mean, we can go on and on about people have killed their parents. It's amazing having a child and you nurture the child for all those years and it grows up and it kills you dead. Sounds great. By the way, did you learn anything from Herb Street? I didn't see what he did.
I didn't see what he said either.
But these guys got to stop doing this.
Yeah. No, and if you've got a kid who's on edge and you're a little worried about them, take them to Midtown Brewing Company. It'll be, you can tell stories like Jason and enjoy a nice American stout.
I didn't know which sponsor you were going to fit in there.
Yeah, with the Menendez brothers, I was not sure I wanted to work any of them in there.
I didn't do it. Dan Campbell's Tears next. Number 1, MSU basketball team is special. I can't pinpoint why, just a feel. Final 4, here we come. 2, never thought the Lions would have this opportunity. I'm with you, Dan Campbell's Tears. I never thought 15 wins, man. 15-2, number 1 seed.
It's just so different.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it's weird. I was watching a little bit of Tampa versus New Orleans yesterday because it was the late game. And
you had money on it?
Please tell me you did. A little bit. Anyway, but all I was thinking about is the Lions have been these two teams. Is what I thought. They've been the 9-8 team squeaking in the playoffs the last day.
Scenario
they've been the 5-12 team that sucks. That's hanging in there on the last day and being pesky. And you're like, why am I still watching this team? They've been those teams, and to not be those teams is incredible.
Can I tell you what fascinates me by watching the NFL games of teams that are shitty? Is just the fans that go to the home games of teams that are shitty. Because yes, like you mentioned, we have been through all of those record scenarios. One thing I wouldn't be at Ford Field if we were 5 and whatever. We only had 5 wins in the week 18. I wouldn't be there with all my shit on. And I'm sorry, call me whatever kind of fan. I can't imagine these fans wasting their money like that. If you get tickets beforehand, I get that, but it's just amazing. Like with Bears fans, when we were at the Bears game, and it's just like you're a 4-win team, and you guys are out there in the freezing balls cold. It doesn't. I don't know.
The thing the Bears at least have.
Hope. There's hope.
Yeah,
you have a quarterback.
You have a quarterback, right. If you don't have a quarterback.
But you have a terrible GM. You have a Matt Millen-esque GM there. You're fucked. But,
Now, if you're like
But really, to sit out in the cold for hours on end and cheering. They were down 20 points, and this little shit kid next to me had a flag that he was putting up, and I keep swatting it out of my face. Anyway. Thomas next. The Big Ten will be relatively weak in men's basketball this year, but MSU will still have a shared conference championship. And bonus, more cities need nicely run art museums. Shout out to the DIA.
Another thing that's fun to do with little Pure Options. It's good
DIA
art museum. It's in Detroit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Have to check that out.
You
get high and go to art museums?
Certain art museums, I definitely take some Pure Options. Yeah,
Why?
It improves it.
Not all of them?
It depends on if I like the art. If I don't know that I'm going to love the museum, Pure Options can help you love any museum.
Gotcha.
Even modern art. To the first point though, like the Big Ten may have first of all, when you have 18 teams, you're going to have some bad teams now. Like there's going to be very few. There have been a couple years in the 14-team era of the Big Ten where you've gone, boy, this league's like 12, 13 deep. That's incredible. Even if you're a deep league, you're going to have bad teams. The odds are against you. I don't know that this will be one of the strongest years ever, but I do think there are going to be 5 teams that are legitimately contending maybe for a title, and probably 5 others that are really tough on a given night, teams like Northwestern, especially when they're home. So whatever it is, it'll be earned. And I think at this point, if Michigan State's in that conversation and shares a conference title, most people would be here for it.
Michael Giles next. Best take. He says the Lions lose in the Super Bowl. That's not your best take.
You got to have one.
Here's a bonus one. I teach at LCC, and one of my students, Devin Hodges, was featured in your column. I printed out the column, read Ingram's praise of Hodges aloud in class, and gave it to him. He was floored. It was the first he had heard of it.
That's good to hear. The kids that we interview and talk to are reading the work we do.
Wait, so you interviewed Hodges, right? Did you tell him that there was going to be an article about him or him involved?
Yeah, and I can't. Let me double check here. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
passenger.
Free Ubers.
I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I see the bright and hollow sky.
Oh yeah. So okay. So I wrote a piece that wasn't not that long ago about Xander Woodruff, who was leading the nation in scoring and still might be. Plays for Lansing Community College. Good story. Not my writing, but he's a good story, I should say. And talked to some other guys, and one of the things, I talked to Hodges, and so that's. But the headline was what I wanted to check. The headline didn't mention him or anything like that. But I talked to him, and he was great. And then Ingram had a nice quote about him. A little surprised he didn't say
I just texted Hodges. He said I didn't want to sign up for the LSJ. That's what he just texted me.
It is a lifelong commitment. It like
99 cents for 2 years was just not worth it for him to read about himself.
But it's the problem is it's the $10.99 for the additional 99 years. Ugh. It gets passed on to your family.
And then you have Couch telling you he'll be your guy and your thing.
It's rough. Yeah, I'll never leave your life. I get it. I get it.
Why don't you guys just get all together and say, hey, here's 4 papers all together for a nominal fee.
But also, Michael, thank you for sharing that with him. I appreciate it.
Rich Kane, next. Number 1, if the Wrigley hockey crowd was energized, it didn't come through watching on TV. And why wasn't the ice configured so more seats were closer to the ice? And why not put bleachers up close to the ice opposite the grandstands? And 2, we've been asking if Michigan State has that one guy to get a shot late in games. Aiken showed against Ohio State that he is that guy. And bonus, the Lions will win the Super Bowl while setting a record for highest playoff scoring average. That's it, Rich. That's what I'm talking about.
Positive thoughts. Good takes. The Wrigley thing was it was a really cool experience. Good crowd. And I can understand why it didn't translate to TV because even everybody was a bit removed from the ice. It's like even the players and Adam Nightingale was saying that, when things would happen, you didn't hear the crowd right away. It was like almost a delayed thing because you're so far away and the way sound travels. But the upper deck area, like the 300 levels that were right over the ice, were really great seats and were pretty good. That's
How
where
long did you go out there? Because I saw that you were way up in the on top of the roof. Or
2.5 periods out there. Yeah, it was. I had a good time. It was freezing cold, but I was ready for it. Stopped at a truck stop to get an extra thing for my head. And by the way, if you ever need things for the cold weather, beyond a muskox flannel, which is really all you need, but beyond that, like something over your ears. And muskox has hats, by the way. It has great hats. I have a great muskox hat. What I needed, though, was something that would completely cover my face. Truck stops, underrated place. I'm telling you.
I love how you have a little Trump in you sometimes. Truck stops, they're great. If you need something, absolutely not as good as muskox. They have hats, by the way, the best hats.
GoMuskox.com.
Truck stop, you can come out a whole new fucking person. They're unbelievable. Ken Chu had a great time cheering on the Spartans at Wrigley. Did I read that? Had a great time cheering on the Spartans at Wrigley and verified that Detroit-style pizza beat Chicago-style pizza. And Ken Chu, you get a gift card because you are goddamn right. Detroit-style. I've been trying to tell my in-laws in Chicago that our food pretty much beats all of their food. But Detroit-style pizza is the best.
Absolutely. That is our hot take of the day presented by our friends at Muskox. Go Muskox and GoMuskox.com. Don't just type in Go Muskox. It'll take you to it, but or just cheer Go Muskox. But GoMuskox.com, and the promo code is Fix It in Post for $15 off. And for your great thought on Detroit-style pizza beating Chicago-style pizza, which some people just call lasagna, our friends at Muskox will donate another $5 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservancy, which they will do with every flannel purchase, by the way, too. I mean, this is a company that cares about the environment. They care about quality. They care about your comfort, and they care about how you look. Even a hideous creature like me looks like I do when I'm wearing a muskox. When I take this off, I mean, I'm barely tolerable. I mean, it's yeah.
Detroit Spartan, best take. Gibbs is the best. Are you putting this in, or is people putting a best take in here? Is this like a new bit you're doing, or I can't tell?
No, because what I asked for, I'm trying to limit people from doing too many takes, so people do. People do best and bake.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. Detroit Spartan, best take. Gibbs is the best running back in the NFL. Who would you rather have? You can't say anyone. I just ran for.
Would you rather have Saquon?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm. He's too old. Gibbs is young. Better. Tyler next. I want to hear Jason talk about Aaron Glenn's defense for about 5 minutes. Jason, Vikings, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson prop bettors are in absolute shambles. Grand total of 6 catches for 63 yards. When is the last time you were in such shambles? Oh, easily. I mean, a couple bets yesterday. Saturday was good. I was in shambles a lot yesterday. I was expecting the Lions to score a lot, so I had a couple Lion prop bets, and even threw a defensive touchdown bet for the Lions in. So whenever there's a Lions game, you kind of go a little overboard. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I live bet the New Orleans Saints because they were up 10.
Good God.
They were up
1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, they were up 10 and they were still like an 8. No, they were up 10 and they were still a 3.5-point dog. And I was like, yeah, I'll get in on this. And then at the end, watching it fall apart was like, that's where you start questioning your life. You're like, well, I'm watching this shit.
Spencer Rattler. I just hate, I don't mind if it's, good value or something like that. I just hate betting on terrible teams, right? Because it's a helpless feeling that, if the quarterback is so bad, you're like, oh, this bet's dead.
So I had my weekend was shot anyway as soon as Liverpool tied Man United, because that's what I can't have upsets like that. Like that sort of unexpected upset where I had like 4 to 5 different parlays with Liverpool in it that has crippled everything.
Surprised I didn't see a text from you and Harry about all that. Some dude next. Number 1, I'm with Jason that a bottle of water needs to be universally capped at $2 max. 2, how in the fuck is Dan Campbell not a coach of the year? I get that Goff thing, not getting MVP, but if the writers don't coordinate Campbell, all the writers' awards need to go in the Chad Latz's toilet. Of course, I have a bunch of money on it. 3, I said it last year, and it especially holds up this year. As a lifelong Lions fan, I need to make the Super Bowl, not necessarily win it. Need every moment of the full 2 weeks of elation and euphoria. But I still want to win it. I get what you're saying, some dude. Right? I'm making the Super Bowl. It will be great. And finally, the 2 weeks, I won't complain about it.
Yeah, you don't want
it'd be great to have 2 weeks of all that.
The Lions don't need to do everything in baby steps. Just miss the playoffs.
Right.
Get to the NFC Championship. Make the Super Bowl. They can just jump right to winning the Super Bowl because it's sometimes
I need the relief.
As we've seen, it's just there are no guarantees, and might as well get it done while you have a 15-2 team.
Yeah, the window's closing apparently. Chris, as a Lions fan, I've learned to keep my guard up to avoid getting let down. Last year, I let my guard down after they converted the 3rd and 18 before half against the 49ers. This year it happened on a Gibbs touchdown catch. No question about it. I'm ready to get hurt again, but this team just feels different. Well, and it was different before the half, too, getting that field goal before the half. And somehow we still had the lead. I could not believe we had the lead in the third quarter after all of those things that transpired and the Goff turnover. So it is different.
I still can't believe that wound up being a blowout at the end. I mean, it just didn't feel like that's where that game was going for quite a while.
Yeah. All right, MCV next. 1, the college football playoff needs to find a way to incorporate conference championship games into the playoffs. 8 out of the 12 teams that got into the playoffs also played in their conference championship. That game needs to be an elimination game. 2, the person that programmed iOS autocorrect has never heard, spoken, or written any actual language in the history of humankind. Thank you. Wait a minute. Hold on. Another gift card winner.
Yeah.
It is duck and fuck. Who has ever used duck?
Right.
It's the worst. The autocorrect on that thing is the worst.
Yeah, the fact that fuck doesn't come through is a problem. That should just
fuck. It turns fuck into duck. Yeah.
Yes, that's really
shit
annoying.
into shut.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the curse word should be the primary word you're assuming people are using. Anything like that.
No, we're all clean in our text chains.
To your first point
PG-13
on the college football playoff and conference championship games into the playoffs, I think if you just get rid of the championship games, I mean, it's okay if you have tiebreakers to determine who gets auto bids if you're still doing that and all that stuff, because you have, tiebreakers in college basketball and you had tiebreakers in college football before you had the conference championship games, and leagues got this big anyway. I just think you get rid of them and the season is long enough. I think 12 games is okay. And the bigger problem you have now with the conference championship games is people are not going to travel for them. Not when their teams are also going to have 2 or 3 playoff rounds, they're hoping. It's too much.
And that should get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to keep having these things just to have them. They have to make some money.
Well, it's TV inventory, and they're paying a lot for that inventory. So you're going to have to figure out a way to make it up to Fox and people like that, and how to convince them that it makes sense. But there has to be a way. And I think maybe that is, if they get to 16 teams overall in the championship, maybe there are 4 more games that way. If you can create inventory that gets a good rating, and if the ratings are down for them anyway, I think that's the way you talk the networks into doing it.
Can we take a break real quick? I tried texting you to break the fourth wall.
Oh, sorry.
I have to pee, so let's go.
Jason has to pee. We'll be right back. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Pure Options Crafted Cannabis, and our Monday afternoon show brought to you by Muskox Quality Flannels.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeeper's Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Pure Options Craft Cannabis. And great time to download the Pure Options app. You can tap right into the savings there at your fingertips. Again, pureoptions.com, or just search for the Pure Options app and download it today. And also our Monday show brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Look your best, feel your best. It is muskox season. I'm telling you, you look like you belong in this climate. You'll be comfortable inside and out. It's one of the great things about muskox is that when I'm outside, it keeps me warm. And when I walk in, I'm not sweating. They're breathable, they're comfortable, they're durable, terrific quality, and look your absolute best. Go muskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners get $15 off their purchase with the promo code FIXITINPOST.
Travis Maynard next. Number 1, NFL playoff seeding must be fixed. There should be no system allowing a team with a losing record to host a game ever. Winning your division punches your ticket, but that's it. And a team must be above 500 to qualify. Division title or not, the postseason is for winners. And 2, MSU's win at Ohio State didn't need to be that hard. Akins, 26 minutes, Fears, 28, Trey, 25, Carr, 24. What? Only explanation is Tom playing 5D chess, forcing depth in with wacky lineups as nothing is learned in a blowout. Keeping the game close on purpose to put the guys in winning time situations.
Those guys, I mean, this is not a team with the guys who are going to play a lot over 30 minutes, number one. Partly because they're not difference makers at that level yet. Trey Holloman struggled for a long time in that game. Cohen Carr was really good in spurts and makes a difference. But I thought they handled the minutes pretty well other than one early stretch where the lineup didn't work. It's just this is what it's going to be. And I think because their depth is real depth that gives you something different and gives you a different look, gives you, in some case, increased talent, all sorts of things, you want that. I don't hate the idea that you have to be 500 to take it. No, it's kind of like in baseball. You ought to have to win 85 games to be the division winner over a wild card. And I think in football, you ought to have to win 9 games, which you do most years, right? I mean,
even if your division's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you don't get. Yeah,
AFC South has been bad for years.
I'm not saying you don't get in the playoffs. I'm just saying you don't get a home game. You don't get the benefits of the division winner.
How about this? I was thinking about this over the weekend. If you're under 500 as a player, you cannot in a meaningless game like Week 18. When you catch a first down, you can't celebrate it. You know how those guys do the pointing. Like if you're on a 4-win team in Week 18,
no celebrating.
No, right? Corey Ostrom, number 1. The college football playoff should move to 16 teams. And there should be no buys and no conference championships. Buys don't make sense with 15 to 20 team conferences. There's too much scheduling imbalances. If the leagues went back to divisions and had schedules balanced, then we can talk about buys. 2, part of any contracts or collective bargaining had between schools and players should be the requirement to take 12 credit hours per semester and hold a C average. It's the only way to have any semblance of amateurism going forward.
Well, amateurism's dead, but if you want it tied to college athletics, you got to just make sure people are right. It's got to be school. There's got to be real shit going on in the classroom.
But does it have to be real shit, or is it something that they're interested in, maybe some finance classes, things like that?
I was going to say, it's never been that anyway. I mean, you've had too many general studies, and look, I'm a communications, I was a journalism major, so I don't mind a communications degree, but when kids get pushed into easier things, and it happens all the time, so they can focus on football. We've already made a mockery of the system. That part of it, I don't think is coming back. I do think at some point it'll be 16 teams, no buys, no conference championship. The problem is you got to have a reason for your conference to exist, and you got to have a reason for those games to mean something. And you want a conference title to be something people could still go after. I think a conference championship should get you not only in the playoff, I think it should get you a home games. I think it get you a top 8 seed. I do not think it should come with a bye. But once you get to 16, the buys won't be there anyway, I guess. I think they also ought to have 2. I think they ought to have home games in the second round. Only get to the bowls and the neutral sites here in the semifinals and the championship, more of a Final Four type deal.
Jay Riemenschneider next. Saw an article headline saying Danny Wolf is playing like a Big Ten Player of the Year candidate. I'm saying it now. Before he leaves Michigan, he will win Conference Player of the Year.
They've done a nice job there early. I mean, they've got a little bit of problem holding on to leads and things like that. But they're really good. Michigan State's could be a heck of 2 games. I have not seen Michigan yet this year. I need to tune in and watch. Seen them a couple games. Yeah, no, they got good size, okay guards. I mean, they're not a perfect team. They're not a perfect roster because it was kind of year one. He's bringing a lot of things. I don't think this is how you would build a roster. Real good team. Scott, number 1, Gus Johnson is very difficult to follow. Just randomly brings up off-the-wall topics and barely even watches the game, it seems. I know Fox will never get rid of him. Feels like something is off. And 2, for Ohio State games, is the broadcast always from the awkward high angle? It used to, when they played at St. John Arena, it was even worse, if I recall. They had a really bizarre angle. I don't know. That's a good... Was it worse than usual? I'll have to go back and look at the recording. I don't know that. Gus Johnson's become less appealing over time. He doesn't drive me nuts like I know he does a lot of fans, but I just can't believe they don't have somebody better than him. That's what I don't. But why does he have to do a Michigan State basketball game? If he wants to do football, I know, but That's what I mean. Yeah, I can't believe they don't. There are better broadcasters than him, and I'm surprised they don't.
But when he does I understand. I don't know if you can sit there and randomly bring up off-the-wall topics during a basketball game for a flow, right? Football, there's some time in between that you can do that kind of shit.
Well, the problem is he's starting to compare people to A.J. Hogarth like it's a compliment. And what he doesn't realize is the fan base is going, what
he knows what he's a Michigan I saw the man hug the Bo Schembechler statue and cry. I saw him do that. You think he doesn't know what he's doing on these broadcasts?
I don't know that he always puts that much work into this.
Oh, all right. MSU basketball is the best team in the Big Ten and will win it by 2+ games.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say that yet, but what Eric said earlier, Eric Schultz, about the idea it was Eric who said 17-3, right? Or maybe 17-3 entering February. I think there's a real opportunity for it, and winning games like beating Ohio State. Those are the games that if you lose those games, they come back to bite you because Ohio State's good. A lot of teams will lose there. Like if you're going to be in contention, you're winning road games at Ohio State. Ohio State was better than Michigan State allowed them to look. Like Ohio State's going to have some games offensively, especially where they look really, really good. There are a lot of elements to think MSU is going to be in this all the way to the end, including their schedule in January.
Pepe Blum next. Number 1, I watched 3 minutes of the MSU Hoops game. They should just move basketball to the spring. I'm not ready for it still. And 2, how many times can Jason work in anal zone today and set the over-under at 8? Dude, every time I see his name, because it's been in like a couple of the questions, I think immediately anal zone. So if you hear the show, obviously you can hear me go, Anzalone, anal zone.
I'm certainly not going to Google anal zone.
Why not? That's not his name, though.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Anzalone, but we call him because it looks like anal.
Correct.
Because if you're kind of dyslexic like me, kind of jumble word. Oh, okay.
I worry what's going to come up on the computer if you Google anal zone.
You know. Mr. Neurotic Pants, number 1, Spartan Stadium and the Breslin Center offer us upper deck jerks all the comfort of modern airline travel. Taken into account with increasing prices, it's fair to say Big Ten games take their fans for granted. Okay, I'm just a fat, maladjusted, middle-aged man who can't relax and enjoy things. Assert. 2, I love MSU sports and Spartan Nation, and that will never change. But East Lansing is all tall luxury apartments and chain restaurants businesses. Kalamazoo and Ann Arbor are much more interesting, more independent businesses, distinctive restaurants, cafes for lounging, and multiple bookstores.
You got to get your ass out of East Lansing sometimes. Places like Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing to Front 43, which is just outside the Lansing-East Lansing border. These are local places that do an incredible job. But I know what you're saying. It is, some of the building in East Lansing I think has been an improvement because there were some eyesores, but some of it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's. I would be curious what most people think, whether they enjoy what East Lansing sort of looks like now, because there are parts of it I do really.
It is
like.
weird though, as someone that was down there in his 19, 20, and 21 years, right?
Yeah.
Like that was 20-something years ago to see it like go down there and it's all that shit's straight up into the sky. It's wild.
And there are things that are great, like the hotel and the rock bar up top, and that sort of thing where you overlook all. That's fun. I love that. And I love that you can look out the Lansing side. Don't love that they have all the garbages on the side where you look out the Lansing window, but you can look out, you see downtown Lansing or East Lansing all from one restaurant top. That's awesome. I mean, it's no, Front 43 and Caskin Company, of course, Midtown Brewing Company, but it's a good place.
And Muskox has winter hats too. Mention that.
They do.
Grammarito couch. Number 1, the fact that Graham hasn't shared a single take on Wicked, the 2024 movie musical extravaganza live on air, following a soccer bet, of course, is blasphemy. Give the people what they want, Graham. And baked, as we say in Mexico, Dan Campbell tiene los cojones de Equiro, Q, Herian, Encrochier, en Entoro.
Big night.
Fuego, gracias, señor. Vamos, Lions.
Vámonos, a ver, 1, 2, 3.
Vamos, Lions.
Yeah. I have not seen Wicked yet. My wife had some friends over and they watched it on the weekend while I was up at Wrigley, but I've not seen Wicked yet. Yeah,
she watched it without you?
Yeah, no, I've seen Wicked the show a couple times, of course.
So you don't like this version?
I don't know that. I haven't seen it yet.
Then why wouldn't you get pissed off wouldn't she get pissed if you watched it without her?
No, I knew she was going to do that this weekend. During the basketball season, I'm on the road enough I can't demand she waits for me for things.
That's true.
Yeah,
you can't even have 2 TVs. Why would I think that? Sorry. Yeah. DMB, number 1, there are too many handicapped parking spots. What about us non-disabled people?
Jesus.
just kidding. 2, Coach Jonathan Smith's quotes following the Michigan game warranted more criticism from the press. Looking back, he seemed unprepared for the moment, and what kind of hatred goes into that game? Unacceptable.
He definitely was unprepared for the hatred, and I think he understands that now, and I think he's gotten a feel for it. I mean, I think he got a feel for it at the game, and it was eye-opening, and, unfortunately for Michigan State, you had to endure that, and that's the price of a coach who's not from the area maybe. But I don't think you don't hire a coach just because it's going to take a year for him to figure it out. I think he has figured it out. I think if you talked to him today about that rivalry, he would sound different. He would sound less canned.
But don't you have to have a guy like Jonathan Smith that comes from outside it to live it?
Yeah.
Like, you can't sit there after his first experience expect that he's going to handle it properly, right? You have to kind of get involved into the rivalry, right? That's why I don't really blame him.
No, but you're right. It is fair, though, to be critical of, like, I remember listening to it and thinking he doesn't really get it yet, and I don't know how much.
But you can watch as much as you want. You can watch the pass, and they can do a highlight reel for you. But until you're inside it, right? Like, it just shook him. You could just tell.
Yeah,
it's okay.
And his criticism is also the press here, and I think that's fair.
Lions reply guy Jason, do you have season tickets? If not, how do you afford them on the secondary market? Well, thankfully, Lions reply guy, I have a great friend, our Michigan friend Jordan, who gets tickets through his work. So I don't buy. We did buy the Rams playoff tickets last year because that was a monumental event for us personally as diehard Lions fans. So we decided to go 50-yard line. So those were expensive. So thankfully, other than that, like the Bears game we went to a couple weeks ago, thankfully to Michigan fan Jordan, I have good friends, and he takes me to these games. Couch on Fire, number 1, Viva Zapala. I really like this guy. Is it Zapawa or Zapala?
Zapala.
Is it Zapala? You sure?
No.
Because I had the fortunate pleasure of listening to what game was on the radio when I went to Illinois, and I heard Zapawa a couple times. I don't know. Anyway, 2, the Roar is officially restored. Happy for Jason. Thanks, Ben. 3, the only discussion Graham is going to have on Blue Sky is over the new cast members for Les Mis for the next run on the West End.
That's in London. Yeah, no, I went to one of the best Les Mis, maybe the best I've ever seen, was at the West End in London.
What made it so good?
One of the things that I love Wharton Center, and I love these big concert halls that we have, but they're huge because shows come for a week and they pack them in. When you're playing every single night, you don't need a place that's that big. It's a little more intimate. It's like you're seeing, some of the best people in the world in a little bit smaller theater. It's incredible. That's part of it. It's sort of the environment. It's not quite as big a place. And then the show was just, they were just unbelievable. Yeah, it was so good. So good.
Upper Deck Jerk guy, finally. Number 1, the Lions are a team of destiny. 2, podcasts have jumped the shark. Sorry. And 3, when a pregnant woman swims, she is a human submarine.
Mark that under things you don't tell a pregnant woman.
Well, what should he call her? She knows she's huge, right? Ladies know they get big.
Sometimes you don't have to say anything.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say, hey, you know what? You're a human submarine. But, like, hey, I heard this funny joke. This guy, the Upper Deck Jerk guy, told me this on Twitter.
Look at my fat ass. Who am I going to call a human submarine,
Well, if you had a baby inside you, you would be a human fat submarine.
Yeah.
You just can't have a baby inside.
That's fair. What an odd way to end the show. Thank you, Upper
Or
Deck
the perfect way.
Yeah. We appreciate all of you for producing our show and for listening and putting up with us. If you're still listening, you're well aware of Pure Options, not just because we talk about it, but hopefully you're several MGs in. Go to pureoptions.com, download the app, join their Pure Perks loyalty program. Swing on by any location, 3 in the greater Lansing area. They got them in Muskegon, Mount Pleasant, Detroit. We appreciate muskox, and it's cold outside. Get yourself a muskox. Be comfortable, be warm, look your best this time of year. It is muskox season. Go muskox.com. The promo code FIXITINPOST for $15 off your flannel purchase. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Great place for a cozy, cool vibe. American Stout. Try that beer. You'll love it. We'll be back middle of the week. Talk some MSU basketball. Pick some games. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.